I'm very pleased to be able to speak to you about evidence-based medicine and to try and summarize what evidence-based medicine is all about in the next 7 to 8 minutes. I see three key principles of evidence-based medicine. The first is that we need systematic summaries of the best available evidence for any of our therapeutic or diagnostic questions to be able to deliver optimal patient care. And there is a long history of experts having gone awry, having given misleading suggestions to clinicians on the basis of not having systematic summaries available. Systematic summaries take all of the available evidence, evaluate the certainty of that evidence, and give us best estimates of the benefits and the downsides of our alternative treatments. Well, that's the first principle. The second principle has to do with what one means by the best evidence. And from the beginning, evidence-based medicine provided a hierarchy, a way of deciding what is more trustworthy and what is less trustworthy evidence. That hierarchy has evolved. So many people think of randomized trials as the heart of evidence-based medicine, which to an extent is true, but they also think that no randomized trials, then it's not something evidence-based medicine is interested in. Quite the contrary. Evidence-based medicine is about finding and evaluating the best evidence, and sometimes that can come from randomized trials, and sometimes from observational studies. It can even come from case series. What has happened about the evolution of evidence-based medicine's approach to the hierarchy or the quality of evidence has been the initiatives of the GRADE working group that has come up with a much more sophisticated hierarchy of evidence than we used to have. So on the GRADE approach of high, moderate, low, or very low certainty evidence, randomized trials start as high quality evidence. Systematic reviews of randomized trials start as high quality evidence, but they may not end up as high quality evidence. So the reasons that they might not end up as high quality evidence include risk of bias. Randomized trials may be unconcealed, unblinded, or lose large numbers of patients to follow up. They may be imprecise. There may be small sample sizes with wide confidence intervals. They may provide only indirect evidence. I practice as a secondary care general internist in hospital practice, and nowadays quite a few of my patients are over the age of 90. I try to practice with consideration of the available randomized trials, if there are randomized trials available. But there's a problem when I have my patients over 90. Very few, if any, were represented in these trials. And so the trials only provide indirect evidence to my patients over 90, which makes me a little more hesitant about applying the results in a straightforward manner. The evidence may be inconsistent from study to study, and publication bias may be a problem. Thus, randomized trials start as high quality evidence, but may not end up as high quality evidence. Observational studies in the GRADE system start out as low quality evidence, but may not end up as low quality evidence. Think of resuscitation after cardiac arrest. Think of dialysis and terminal renal failure. Think of hip replacement for osteoarthritis. Think of insulin for diabetic ketoacidosis. These and a number of other interventions have large effects that leave us persuaded of their benefits, even though there are no randomized trials available. So those are the first two principles of evidence-based medicine. Excuse me. The third principle is somewhat ironic. Evidence never by itself tells us what to do. It's evidence in the context of values and preferences. And evidence-based medicine makes a big point of this. There are always upsides and downsides, benefits and harms and burdens of our interventions. And we need to trade off the benefits and harms, and the benefits versus the harms and burdens. And that trade-off depends on how we value the benefits and how we value the downsides, the harms and burdens of our treatments. And the values and preferences that drive that trade-off have to be those of our patients. And we must recognize that our patients, much of the time, vary in their values and preferences about what is most valued and what is least valued. And so evidence-based medicine recognizes that clinicians have neither the time nor the expertise to make critical appraisal of the literature considering all the issues that I've raised themselves. And as a result, the EBM in the last years has placed a great emphasis on ensuring that trustworthy guidelines are available to clinicians. Trustworthy guidelines are those that rely on systematic reviews, have a panel that is widely representative and diverse and avoids conflict of interest, that uses the great approach in rating the quality of the evidence, and provides either strong or weaker conditional recommendations for and against the treatments. These then are the three key principles of evidence-based medicine. We need systematic summaries of the best evidence. We need a way of classifying the evidence as higher quality or certainty or lower quality of certainty, and Grade now provides that hierarchy. And finally, the crucial and perhaps somewhat ironic third principle of evidence-based medicine, which is evidence by itself is never sufficient for our decisions. It's always evidence in the context of values and preferences. I hope this brief talk has been somewhat informative, and I very much hope you enjoy your meeting. Thanks very much.